You're listening to the AV-IT Amplifier. Each week, we'll feature voices and ideas that need to be amplified in the higher education and pro AV IT communities. This show is brought to you by higheredav.com. And now here's your host, Ryan Gray.
Well, hello again, everybody. We are back for a second round with Mr. Darryl Krall of Panasonic. Apparently, he wasn't intimidated enough by one episode that he's returned for a second, and I don't know if he knows what's in store for him. So, Darryl, really quickly remind everybody, who are you and what do you do in the AV world?
Exactly. Thanks, Ryan. Glad to be back. This is so much fun. I listened to all the different episodes, and we're always trying to come up with something interesting to talk about, and I think we'll do that in this episode for sure.
All right.
But I'm Darryl Krall. I'm with Panasonic Connect, based out of Chicago. I've been with Panasonic for over 13 years, but been in this wonderful, crazy industry for over 25. So we work on what's called our professional imaging and visual systems group. So it's projectors, displays, pro audio, PTZ cameras, studio cameras, Kairos, which is an AV over IT production platform, and more. But I've always had a fond affinity for higher education, and just happy to talk more higher ed and other stuff as it comes out.
All right, that's what I say. First episode, we got some technical things in there. Let's see if we can peel back the layers of Darryl. I don't know, if you're up for this. So, all right.
Always up for it, yes.
All right. Darryl, if you were a Major League Baseball player or coming out to speak to a big group, what is your walk-up intro song?
That is a tough question. There's so many choices, but I hope the audio comes through okay.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's squashing it. Nope, it's squashing it. I can't hear it.
It's probably too loud. How about now? I brought it down. It's Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom is doing such a good job of taking what it thinks the background noise is out of there.
Okay.
You might have to sing it for us, Darryl. You might have to sing it because it sounds like you came prepared.
I used to be able to sing it. It would be Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Nice. Why?
A big AC/DC fan. I actually met Brian Johnson about 6 or 7 months ago at a car show, and kind of thought he might be there because that's kind of where we thought, we kind of knew where he lived. Anyway, long story short, but like the biggest story, it's a great song. I do karaoke occasionally. Ryan, what is your go-to karaoke song?
No, I don't.
Come on, something.
For me, I'm going, let's go, Young MC. I'm going rap, I'm going 90s rap of some type because I can't sing at all.
That's half the fun
too. Loc? Something Tone Loc would be right about my speed.
There you go.
All right.
But anyway, so what was interesting, I've always been an AC/DC fan. That's just a very fun, identifiable. Pick any AC/DC song, and that's whether you're an AC/DC fan or not. That's a good walk-up song. When I was a child. Also a big Ted Nugent fan.
Yeah.
Okay, a teenager, not a child. Went to go see Ted Nugent at Soldier Field in Chicago. And so I won't tell you the year because it's almost not embarrassing, but it's early on. And nobody heard of AC/DC before, but AC/DC was the opening act for Ted Nugent.
Wow.
And AC/DC came out, Bon Scott. This band was so good. I was very much influenced in my teenage years by AC/DC, became a huge fan and have been ever since. But to see this band, I'm like, who the heck are these guys? And then, of course, Ted Nugent came out. I won't say they gave Ted Nugent a run for his money, but it was pretty darn close.
So you were like a AC/DC hipster. You were on them before everybody else was.
Exactly. Yeah. It was so much fun. And, they just kept it going. Talk about, and that's one of the things in the AV business. You just keep going, right? You reinvent yourself or you try something new. That's one particular band that fundamentally their songs haven't changed. They weren't like Kiss where they came out with a ballad like Beth. And people, I am dating myself, I know, but I'm like, AC/DC was always that straightforward rock and roll in your face.
Yeah.
And they've been doing it now for a ridiculous amount of time, and God love them.
All right. Okay. So you mentioned that happened when you were young. So what was your first job?
Oh, let me think about that. I did deliver newspapers for a
Hmm.
couple of weeks in the neighborhood at like 12 or 10 or 12 years old. And
Okay.
it was okay, but I didn't really like it. My actual like real first job was, this is a great story, because I still have a pair of pants, but don't tell them. Well, they can't really, what do they call it when it's the years have gone past, they can't really charge me with anything.
The statute of limitations is
Thank
run
you,
out
sir. That's why I
on this
why I couldn't
theft.
pull that one out. Yes.
You're about to
Um,
confess to a crime.
correct. I'm not
Okay.
confessing, but so my first job, to answer your question, Ryan, was in a Schwinn parts warehouse. Schwinn
Nice. Uh-huh.
bicycles, right?
Sure.
In beautiful Elk Grove Village. And so picking parts before Amazon and all kind of automated things. But somehow I ended up with a pair of Schwinn BMX biking pants
Hmm.
that I still own. They don't really fit very well, but I can
Okay.
put on. So Schwinn was that picking parts, and I was into bicycles. I had a motorcycle at the time, so I was always a big Schwinn bike person. But that was my first job, which was kind of a lot of fun because I also had a lot of buddies who were working there as well. So it was fun and different, and your first toe into independence of, hey, I've got a job, I'm making some money.
Right. Perfect. Yeah. So, you in the first episode, you mentioned not only you and your wife and your daughters, both daughters,
Yes.
all graduated from Northwestern.
Yes.
So, one, I guess my real question would, because my next question on the list is, what is something you're really proud of? But I'd love, especially your daughters. I know one's involved in athletics. I think one is in broadcasting. Is that
Correct.
true?
Yes.
So, what
Yes.
about them are you proud of?
Well, it's I do post at least more on Facebook about them, sometimes on LinkedIn just because it's professionally related to
Yeah.
them.
Hmm.
But I will also throw out their third generation Northwestern, because their
Right.
grandmother, my mother-in-law, graduated from Northwestern as well. So, but yeah, our daughters, we are very fortunate that they take after their mother,
Yeah.
because they're very successful. So Katie Krall has been in Major League Baseball for over 6 years. While she was at Northwestern, she was helping the men's baseball team promote marketing, and then she was hired as a paid intern for when the Chicago Cubs won the World Series trophy in
Mm.
2016. That was a long time ago, but a great year. So then she graduated Northwestern in 3 years. She was hired by the commissioner's office in New York at MLB, that she was one of the first diversity candidates that were brought in. And she loved New York. She loved being in New York. She'll probably get back there at some point.
Yeah.
But anyway, she wanted to stay with a team, or get with a team, I should say. And she was hired by the Cincinnati Reds for 2 seasons, right when the pandemic hit. It was pretty
Mm.
wild, but she loved it. If you've seen or read the book Moneyball, right? It's all about the data analytics. She read that book when she was 12 and loved it. She always loved baseball. In fact, my wife's cousin was the bullpen coach for the Minnesota Twins, Richie Stelmazik, for 30 some odd years.
Wow.
So we always loved baseball. Long story short, Katie spent 2 years with the Cincinnati Reds. Then the Boston Red Sox hired her to work with their minor league teams, actually in Portland, Maine, where we're going this weekend. I'll tell you that in just a story.
Nice.
But she was in uniform, so she was
Wow.
helping younger players understand the data analytics and pitching and hitting and all that stuff. So we're going back this weekend, or 2 weekends from now, to Portland, Maine, because it's Katie Krall bobblehead night.
All right.
So what I'll do is I'll send you a quick picture of that. You insert that there
You got it.
if you want to. But anyway, so we're very proud. Katie's been doing a great job and continues to love baseball. And then Annie, our other daughter, has been in broadcasting. She graduated from Northwestern, got her master's degree from Northwestern, and then was hired by WBAY and was on air in Green Bay
Oh,
for a
cool.
year. and she wanted to get back to Chicago, maybe a bigger market. So she's on air in Chicago for AM WLS AM radio. She's also interviewing with some stations and has had really a great time. She's also teaching at Northwestern, which is pretty wild.
Nice.
So some of our Northwestern friends like Jeff Pra and Jonathan Love and others at Northwestern and Trevor and certainly Troy are aware of Annie on campus and everything. So
Chicago question.
yes.
So today the Cubs are actually on the road. They're in interleague in Toronto.
Yes.
Assad pitching for the Cubs. I don't know this guy. And Barrios for the Blue Jays. The Cubs are a 1.5 run underdog.
Yes.
Would you take the Cubs and a 1.5?
Always take the Cubs.
Always take the Cubs. All right.
Let me call my daughter. Hold on. Katie?
Yeah. Get the scoop.
She doesn't gamble, but no. I would always go Cubs, although Toronto's doing well from what I'm kind of I wouldn't say a novice. I just don't have a lot of time to keep up with it. And my daughter is certainly much more attuned to it. I'd go with Cubs at one and a half.
All right.
How about you?
I do whatever you tell me to do. It's done. So you got $5 on the Cubs and a 1.5. And here's how this works. If it wins, I keep the money. If it loses, you owe me $5. I don't know.
If it loses, I owe you $10. You should double that.
Yeah, so it's okay. And
you got to pay for the show.
So far for guests, we've lost more than we've won. So this is starting to get a little expensive. So I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you on this one. Okay.
So ask me about the Bears. Okay, not yet.
Yeah, when football season comes around, we're going to have a whole other level. Right now, baseball is very expedient to bet on. Okay, so your career's been in AV and in technology. If you, in the alternate universe, couldn't work in technology, couldn't work in higher ed, what is another area? What is a career that you think might have worked for you in an alternate part of the multiverse?
It's interesting because, believe it or not, my wife and I have had this conversation many times. We've been married 32 years, 32, but we dated 11. Wow. We've known each other for a long time. So we've had these interesting, kind of.
That's a great freeze frame right there. That is a magical.
Uh-oh. Am I back now?
Yes.
I know, it's terrible. I'm so sorry. It's saying I've got unstable. Well, I'm unstable or my connection?
Yeah, exactly. One of the two of those. Don't worry. That froze you in a great spot that I may or may not have taken a screenshot of. I think we just let that one roll. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think that was great. So you're saying you and your wife, you've talked about it quite a bit, sounds like.
Yes. And so kind of interesting because how I got into the industry was even in grammar school, like our family had the open reel-to-reel audio tape. Mm-hmm. I would mess with that. I've been playing drums since I was 10, so at least the last 16 years. But even in grammar school, I was, using the film camera. I was, doing projects. So I always was interested in that creative side. So then I did radio during college and then got into production. And that's how I fundamentally got into the AV business many hundreds of years ago. But I actually started in the rock and roll business. That's how my wife and I met. But then I got into production and things like that. So I kind of thought I would go into like the commercial side or advertising side of creative. Because if you've ever watched like Mad Men, even before Mad Men, I was kind of thinking that would have been cool, even in the 70s, 80s, whenever. But yeah, something like that. How about you?
That's awesome. Yeah, no, well, I mean, I'm a professional baseball player. I think that'll work well for me. No, I don't know. I feel like I've always just kind of sorted my way wherever I needed to be on, what I'm saying, on that front. But I've always, I come from a long line of educators, so it could still happen, right? And like you mentioned, I served as an adjunct instructor for a long time. I haven't ever taken the plunge on that just because aside from working, I was a governing board member for a K-12 district. Now I do a lot of I filled kind of my extra time with other stuff, but I could see being a teacher would be really interesting, I think.
It is. And, they're just trying to get people, and we're always teaching and lifelong learning. I'm a big fan of that. But, also like, how do we spread the knowledge or the word about this crazy AV business, right? So
Right.
when I was going to college, I wasn't going to be like, I'm going to be an AV person when I grow up.
Nobody is.
It just exactly. There's no like AV curriculum. Okay, I can get into IT and learn that, but how do we kind of communicate to your students? And many times, is I have some great friends at institutions who started as a student worker, and then X number of years later, they are running the whole operation. So that's kind of how a lot of us got into this business. They're like, wow, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, and I think like right now it is that kind of exposure. Most people have a story of how they fell backwards into AV, and a lot of them are that, right? They ended up a student worker at college and they didn't even know what they were applying for. They were just looking for student work. So yeah, I know there's a lot of work being done on that front, and even younger, especially with, women and minorities. How do we get their eyes on tech and stuff at an earlier age? But that's, we love bringing students on here and getting them involved, because let me tell you something. Sometimes they're smarter than we are. You know what I'm saying? They solve things that we couldn't solve. So I
they've
totally
grown up
agree.
with technology. Yeah, I mean, if you think about now, it's going to be Generation Alpha,
right?
And so now it's like, okay, most of those students coming in to high school right now have been swiping something since they were 5 or 3 or whatever. So technology to them, like, piece of cake.
Of course.
And IT or IP, they understand IP addresses. They we back in my day, it's like, okay, you plug in this video cable with 6 other cables.
Yeah.
And hopefully you get a computer signal out of it.
So when you say back in your day, do you get okay boomer? Does anybody ever say that to you?
No, not too bad. I try and hide that. I try and suppress that as much as possible.
So you're not old enough to be a boomer anyways.
No, absolutely not. No, I'm just, it's kind of funny because I do, collect, I collect a lot of vintage. I don't collect, I just have, it just collected me, some vintage technology, whether it's Betacam machines or the big cameras from the studio. It's just kind of fun. But when the cables and the power supply start getting out of control, you gotta throw that stuff away. No one's going to need this 100-foot long HDMI cable. Maybe someday, but I got to throw it away. Or the VGA cables,
I know.
Throw those away.
I did that like a year ago. My bucket of stuff I had up in the closet, and I was like, there's a lot of S video in here. That's gotta, like, you know what I'm saying? And,
exactly. And you're just like, if it's in your house, someone's going to tell you to please get rid of it.
Yes,
if you have, a more like in your facility, you've got maybe some space, but at some point you just keep more and more and more. You got to get rid of this. Recycle it for sure. Recycle it, but man. Yeah, you accumulate a lot of things over the years.
Yeah. Okay, so aging question: how on earth have you maintained a glorious head of hair, and I am holding on to the bare scraps that remain? How have you done this?
It's a clip-on. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's not. No, it's not. It should be though. Well, I should show you some pictures of me when I was a rock and roller and I had the big crazy hair. But it thins, and but the follicles keep coming back. So, but it's just, I don't do anything other than, the normal stuff. But I've been
saying there's no hope for me.
No, I think your hair looks great.
But I imagine it's only because of the angle, right? Like you will never see an angle of me from a camera that is high. When you walk into a classroom and there's those like the high angle to get the students, then I walk under it. I just go, oh God.
I know. You know what? As long as you have your health, you don't care. You're good looking with or without hair, or short hair, or thin hair, whatever.
Well, that's what I told those guys from Pace. They've just embraced the bald AV guys.
Exactly. You gotta do it.
I can see where the future is going to be. You know what I'm saying?
I worked for Crestron for 3 years before I came to Panasonic when they introduced digital media, and I would say easily 40, if not maybe 50% of the people were clean shaven.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going that far. If I have to, it would look good on you. I don't think it would look good on me, but maybe it would.
Well, Darryl, everything would look good on me, man. You know what I'm saying?
You're too kind.
Just kidding. Yeah, exactly. All right. Here's your choice: Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Adele, or Beyonce.
For dinner party or concert tickets?
Either way, whatever you want to do.
How
about
can I take
one of each?
5?
Oh yeah.
Can I take no. So I would say I'm a huge music fan. I love Aretha Franklin. I love all of those that you've mentioned. I would have to go Aretha Franklin
Yeah.
because of what she meant to women in general and in the music industry. And she really broke some significant barriers until the very end was just had a beautiful voice, had great integrity.
Yeah.
Did you say Donna Summer?
I did, but she might need to be on the
No,
list.
I'll tell you. Well, I don't know if I should say this. We went.
You can
to
pick
see
someone
her.
off the list because some people
No,
have just
no.
rejected
I'm
my
going to go
list.
Aretha. I'm going
Okay.
Aretha on that one. Yeah.
Deal. Yeah.
Just because of what she's done for the industry, for women, and just
And just a raw power voice, right? Like one of those women that just like.
I'm a big Beatles fan, and so
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that she's done that was Beatles material, and it'll
Mhm.
just make you tear up. It's just so good. But even the videos of like the 60s and 70s, and just like amazing. And I love the Blues Brothers too, and she does a great job in the Blues
That's
Brothers.
right. That's right. Okay, so you're a busy guy, travel a lot, you're on the hustle, there's a lot going on. How do you take care of yourself? A lot of people talk self-care right now, so I'm always looking for tips for how do people that are really on the hustle all the time, make sure that they're doing okay.
I haven't been as good as I should be. However, I will tell you, probably I've been doing yoga for 20 years because I just was not stiff. I didn't feel good. I went to just a Park District class in our town, and the woman had to be at least 70 years old or more. She was so nimble and so energetic. I'm like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I would literally for about before the pandemic, because it was kind of hard for me to keep it up. You're like, oh, I've got all this time. I like to be in a class. I love hot yoga. So I prefer to do yoga. Walking's always good. I don't do any like heavy running anymore because my knees just don't like it.
Yeah.
But I'm saying people are like, I wouldn't do yoga. But you'd be surprised. You just do some simple yoga once a week, but I was literally doing it like 6 times a week, hot yoga,
Wow.
and I never felt so good. And I need to get back into that regimen. But drinking water, I definitely drink more than a gallon of water every day. You try and eat right, but you're like you say, if you're on the road, it's not always easy. Salads are a good thing. Yeah, you want to go with the ribs or the salad? I'm going to go with the rib salad, please.
Yeah, exactly. I love it, like steak salad, and it's like it's a salad, and there's like 16 ounces of ribeye on top of it. Perfect.
That's healthy.
It's healthy. Yeah, no, exactly.
But I do love yoga. That's what I love to do, and walking is always a good thing. But yeah, just trying to keep trying, and I do some meditation. Not that I'm a great meditator, but you get stressed. Everybody gets stressed, right? But you just have to kind of teach yourself to kind of come back down. Otherwise, you get too stressed out, and you can't really think straight. So that's not good either.
Cool. All right. If you were going to book a vacation right now, and I know you're going to visit your daughter next weekend, but you get to jump on and book a vacation right now. Where are you going? Who are you going with?
I have to take the family. In fact, we're leaving the first week or so in September to go to Europe because we went to Europe as a family right before the pandemic. So that was like October of 2019. So I like Rome. My wife is half Croatian, so I'd like to go to Croatia maybe.
Yeah.
But just loading them up on a plane. And the trick to Europe, you're like, you can't carry the extra bags. Like I have a bad shoe issue. So when I go when I go to Infocom, why do I have a separate suitcase of shoes? I don't need 16 pairs of shoes. But yeah, that's the trick. When we do go to Europe, is just to try and get everything. Let's say you're there for 10 days, whatever it is. How do you get all that stuff that you think you need into one bag and then deal with that? But I think, anywhere in Europe I certainly love Hawaii. Yeah. But those would be the 3 kind of places. Rome is always beautiful. Anywhere in Italy, any of the countryside, things like that. How about you? What are your favorite places?
Oh yeah. So, I mean, my wife and I, we're both kind of mountain and beach kind of thing. So yeah, Hawaii's been good, and we've got a big family trip for my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. Oh, nice. We're going to the 50th state back for a big thing in Hawaii.
Let's wish them happy anniversary. That's awesome.
Very excited and that sort of thing. But yeah, and then for our 20th anniversary, we're going on a cruise, like a Caribbean style, and we like that. Like I kind of like this floating hotel that shows up on a different island every day, and you get to do something different and those sorts of things. But
you don't have to think about it.
We like to, is when you can get off the beaten path. Those things don't give you the chance to get out of the touristy things. So, we did a trip one time in Costa Rica with her sister, with like her sister and her fiance at the time, and just like in a van, and headed out headed for volcanoes and other things, looking for the local spots. And you get into some stuff that seems a little scary, but those are the real, experiences.
That's fun. That's cool. Yeah, it's got to be adventurous a little bit too. Yeah. I just read recently, and I'm not a big Hallmark Channel fan. I think they do great work, but obviously, the women in my household love the Holiday Channel, or the holiday movies on the Hallmark Channel. I just read that Hallmark and I forget who they partner with, Princess Cruises or whatever. They literally are booking trips like in November, where it truly is a Hallmark Christmas cruise.
Nice.
So that's a commitment. You're like, okay, don't care where we're going, but the whole theme of the cruise is going to be Hallmark Christmas related, holiday related stuff. I think that's hysterical. If you're committed, like, go for it. I think that would be a lot of fun. Not my cup of tea though.
No, a themed cruise, you're right. You got to be committed to be confined for a week in the same. All right.
Exactly.
All right. Real quick, last 3 questions are the same for everybody. What is a question that you wish you would be asked, but nobody ever asks you?
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Good question. What do you want to be when you grow up?
I have no idea. I'm going to figure that out one of these days. A rock and roll drummer.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Playing baseball with Ryan Gray at the Chicago Cubs.
Well, I won't play for the Cubs, so I'm sorry.
Okay, that's
that.
right. Sorry about that.
You know what I'm saying? That's not available.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem. Cool. All right.
3 other questions or no? I guess that's one of those that I think that's a good one.
You're getting asked the things you want to answer. That's good. That's good. All right. Then second to last question, how would people again find you or get in contact with you to learn more about you or the things that you do with Panasonic?
Just go to your local post office. My picture is right there. LinkedIn is always the best. Darryl Krall, Krall. You can find me. The web address for Panasonic is na.panasonic.com. But also, check out the hetma.org. I'm connected there, as well as etc.org or ccumc.org, which will take you to etc. So that's usually the best places. I'm on Insta and Twitter's, now X, but that's kind of where I spend most of my time, is on LinkedIn and things like that.
Yeah, look him up and follow him. There's stuff to watch, and you can get connected with whoever you need to. You can jump to Darryl from Darryl Krall. You can jump to almost anybody else out there. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Cool. All right. Your final question then. So the old school news broadcasters often had their sign off phrase, or the way they signed off their newscast, like good night and good luck is the one I remember. Or for younger people, it's the hosts of it's a Saturday Night Live and a Weekend Update. They always have a pithy saying at the end. So what is your Darryl Krall's sign off phrase?
I hope I don't offend anybody, but if at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed. And it's not mine. It's not mine. I'm just saying, right? Is that too offensive, Ryan? We could take another take.
Not at all. You didn't even encourage. We've slipped a couple of bad words through on this podcast that nobody's noticed yet without getting a rating. So
if the FCC is knocking on my door, I'm sending them right to Yavapai.
Exactly. Darryl, thank you so much. That's a great one, and the longest one we've had so far. So
good.
Thank you so much for joining us and chatting. It's so cool to learn more about you and to share some laughs over Zoom. And I look forward to the next time we get to share laughs face to face.
You're the best, Ryan. I'll talk to you soon. Stay safe.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for listening to the AV-IT Amplifier. Join us again for next week's episode, when we'll welcome a new guest who you'll want to hear from. We promise. Your host has been Ryan Gray. He's on the tweeters at Ryan_A_Gray, or find him on LinkedIn to connect. Please subscribe and give the show a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. This show is brought to you by higheredav.com. The views expressed here are not necessarily those of our respective institutions, employers, or sponsors. Everyone hang in there, go easy, and we'll be back next week.